Possible Experience episode where we tackle heartbreak in a way that offers you more access to creativity and to living out the difference that you really want to make in the world. I am your host, Rebeccah Silence, and the Healing is Possible Experience show is here to take you on a journey of hope and healing. And today I am so honored to welcome the fantastic Daniela Londono, who is an energy healer and spiritual guide for soul-driven entrepreneurs. This is a new friend of mine, and we're so excited to talk to you about how to connect to the deepest, wisest parts of you, even in the face of heartbreak, that have all of those creative juices and your vision right there hidden in plain sight for you at all times. Daniela, welcome to
Hi,
Healing
thank
is
you so
Possible.
much for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation and to, share insights and to just talk about this because it's a huge subject and it's a really beautiful subject too.
Yeah, I would love to just dive right in to the deep end of the pool. Tell us what, first of all, healing means to you, and second, what creativity means to you.
Ooh, those are really good questions. So I would describe healing for myself, like the way that I see healing is being able to clear the stuff, the darkness and the hurt that isn't you, so that you can connect to the truest part of yourself, to the highest vibrational part of yourself, which is, the spirit within you. That's what I consider healing to be. It's just a process of self-discovery by clearing stuff that isn't you.
I love that you're saying the hurt isn't you. I think so many people, whether they're conscious or aware of it or not, are actually identifying with the hurt as a part of who they are or as who they are. And this is a beautiful offering that you're giving to us. The hurt is not who we are. And when we are able to observe the hurt and separate ourselves from the hurt, that does actually create a whole new level of healing.
Oh, 100%. I mean, hurt is just an indicator that there's something that we need to look at closely, transform, and move out of the system. So it's sort of like when we eat food and it goes through our bodies, we are not the food. It's just passing through. Hurt is the same way. Feelings are the same way. Pain is the same way. It's passing through to show us something specific, to just bring our awareness to a part of ourselves, of our body, of our mind, of our heart, in order for us to be more self-reflective about it and be able to sort of clear it out.
Yeah, I love this. And how would you define creativity?
Ooh, I would define creativity as the ultimate energy that all human beings have access to, where we get to manifest the world that we want to live in. So creativity is that impulse, it's that power energy, it's that impulse energy to birth things into life. And it can be, a creative project. Creativity, I see it broader than just, for example, the arts, or what you normally see as being creative, which is being very, artsy or right brained. Creativity is just the impulse of birthing, wanting to birth something, be that a project, a human being, a new house,
Yeah,
whatever it is that you want to bring into your life. That's creativity
I love
and
that.
having that
Yeah.
impulse.
Well, because again, so many people don't necessarily see themselves as a creative or an artist, but we're all creating our unique vision for our lives. And we can be even more intentional about it and even more creative about it. Tell me this, why is healing and creativity so important to you? And just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you've gotten here.
Of course. So, first, why is healing and creativity so important to me? And why do I feel they're intrinsically linked?
Yeah.
So, I feel healing and healing sort of pushes or enhances creativity. When we're able to heal parts of ourselves, we have more mental space to dedicate to ourselves to create the life we want. For example, if you are in a space in your life, and you've probably felt like this in a moment of your time, I've definitely felt like this in a moment of your time, when I am only my head, 90% of what is going on in my brain and the mental activity is sort of focused on, uh, you know, food intolerances or feeling sick, or when we're only focusing, when we are in a space where we don't feel good in our bodies, most of our mental energy goes there to just try to avoid not feeling bad in our bodies, right? And when we're able to slowly move into a space where we feel more healthy, where we feel better inside our bodies, where we feel we are healing, that mental energy that we were dedicating to just, passing through the day, we can start dedicating it to higher purposes, to purposes like thinking, what life do I actually want to create for myself? What is my purpose in life? What do I want to bring into my reality? So I feel healing and creativity are very linked, because one pushes the other. The more that we're able to heal parts of ourselves that are hurting, that we feel are broken, even though truly in its essence they're not, the more we can dedicate our energy, our time, and just our actions to things that feel more purposeful.
Yeah, it's so good. So good.
And I guess in this is sort of what I've seen in my own life. There was a point in my own life around, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, where from just a body perspective, I wasn't feeling as healthy as I wanted to. I was ridden with food intolerances. I was allergic to almost everything. I couldn't eat anything. My digestion was a mess. I was feeling sick all the time, and sort of my days were spent just, being hyper vigilant around how to not feel sick and what foods to eat to not feel sick. Where should I go? What should I do? What should I eat? What should I buy? What should I do to not feel sick? Right. And as I started healing those parts of myself in my body, and then I also realized that that was a deeper thing. It was about feeling that I didn't have, protection, that I didn't have boundaries, that anything could hurt me, that, it was a whole lot of other issues that came deeper from that feeling of being sick all the time. And the moments as I started healing these parts of myself, I started to just have more space to think intentionally about what I did want to bring into my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what type of I back when I was sick, when I was feeling sick, sort of the vibrationally where I was in a job that didn't really fulfill me. I was in a job where I just felt just like, oh, this, like I'm just doing this to get through the day. And the more I started to heal myself in all of its parts, physically and also mentally and emotionally, I started to think like, wait, this is where I am right now in this job, but this is a lesson by contrast. This is not where I want to be. This is not the type of life that I want to be leading. And this job is here just showing me what I don't like. So what do I do like? And that sort of started a journey on just being more conscious of of how I was sort of conducting and choosing uh, my career and my and how I was working in the world. And so that's how I see it's intrinsically linked. I saw it in my own life. The more I heal, the more I can give my energy into service and into helping people and into helping transform people, into giving clarity, into giving clarity to myself. And so healing is a great step in the right direction to be able to create the life that you want.
I could not agree more. And I think that, whether you feel like you have a big purpose or not, your right is for your life to feel how you want it to feel, and to be a life that you love and that you're proud of. And what you're saying about contrast is so real and important. And we sometimes do only have access to the information around what doesn't feel good or what doesn't feel like it's working anymore or what we don't want. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I like
That's
to
a great thing, actually.
right?
It's a great thing.
Right. I'm not positive. I'm really not. I'm just looking at there's always possibility. So if this information is here, what possibility can we creatively access from the information that's always available to us, right? And
100%.
I really hear that in what you're sharing and how healing and creativity are linked, right? Is the healing gives you access to creativity, which gives you access to possibilities that maybe you wouldn't have seen or felt if you weren't in that creative space.
Yeah. If you weren't in that space to sort of see the brighter sides of your own self and of your own life, for sure. Right. And it's true. I mean, I've learned through my energy healing practice and also through my own experience that clarity, because I think a lot of people are just like, well, I don't even know what I want. Like, I don't even, because when we talk about a vision, right, it's like, and especially in the personal development world, one of the ways that we're taught to create the life that we want is have a very crystal clear vision of what you want to manifest, to have like a vision board, like a really defined, vivid memory. And I feel one of the things that people can feel startled with is like, wait, I have no idea what I want. I have no idea what I want. I have no idea what I want to manifest. I have no idea what I want to embody. I don't know the type of life that I want. So it's clearly not the way for me. And one of the things that I tell my clients and I tell people is like, wait, knowing what you don't want is a really good step. Like, yeah, because it's easier to identify what we don't want. It's easier, right? Like if you don't know what you want, if a person doesn't know what they want, I can ask them, okay, give me a rant list, like rant it out, 50 things about your work that you don't like. And that won't be a problem, I'm sure. It's easier to just sort of be descriptive about what we don't like. And one of the things that has worked for me and works for my clients really beautifully is I call it the clarity by polarity game, which is if there's an aspect of your life that you want to change, but you don't know what you do want in your life, start by what you don't. For example, if you are not liking your job, if you're really not liking your job, and you want to move into something else, but you don't know what, start by doing a rant list, writing 50 things about your current job and your past jobs that you really didn't like. So, I hated having this boss that told me blah, blah, blah. And I hated having to go to an office and dress a certain way. And I hated blah, 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 and just write all the stuff that bothered you. 50 things, be really specific, like do a deep rant. And then, because energetically, we live in a world where we learn by polarities, by contrast. So when you're specific about what you don't want, you can use that as a bouncing board to understand what your soul is trying to crave. So for example, let me give you, if you're writing down like, I hate that I have a boss that tells me what to do. I hate this boss was so micromanaging. I hate that I don't get to have creative decisions in my life. I blah, blah, blah. That's one list. Then list B, what's the polar opposite of having a boss that tells you what to do? If that's something that you really dislike, it's probably being your own boss, right?
Yeah, or having a boss that is asking what you want to be doing for the company.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Yeah.
And so doing that list where you first rant and then you take item by item and you say, what's the polar opposite of this in the positive sense? And write that down. And then you get a new list of what is called the polar opposite, the positive polar opposites. And you're just getting clarity of like, okay, what I really hated was the lack of autonomy, was the lack of decision-making, was the lack of sort of agency that I had in my work. And what would be the polar opposite of this? It would be having agency. It would be getting to choose my own decisions. It would be, getting to be the leader and guiding. And when you see that, you get a clearer picture. For example, for me, when I did the first time I did this list, one of the things I wrote down, and it was very clear for me because I was really unhappy at that job, and I was sort of looking for other jobs in a very frantic way just to get out of where I was. And when I sat down, and I was, applying to jobs and things wouldn't work out. And I was like, all right, this is a message from spirit. Like, this is a message from my life that I need to sit down and be clear on where I want to go, or else things won't work out, because life is really generous without that way. So I sat down and I wrote down the things that I didn't like, and it kept showing up that I hated being told what to do. That it wasn't that I didn't like my boss or my previous boss or the previous boss, is I didn't like the idea of having a boss. And so when I put that in polar opposite, the contrast was, what would that be for me? Being my own boss. So that piece of clarity just showed me, like, wait, will I be happy in another job with a better boss? No. I will be, no, let's get real here. No, because what I don't like is having a boss. What I do want is to be able to make my own decisions.
Yeah.
So from that point on, it became really clear to me that my alternative to be happy at work, because this was such a strong thing that really pissed me off, was to be my own boss and to create an enterprise for myself.
Yeah.
And after having that just clarity thrown into my face, I was like, all right, let's stop looking for a job. Let's get real here. And let's see a way to transition into entrepreneurship. And that was sort of the first insight that got me there.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's such a beautiful story, and you've literally done it. Like, not only did you become your own boss, but you built a company where you have a team under you, and you started in one country and now you're in another country.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally doing what you're talking about. And it's occurring to me, Daniela, I think another access point to the information about what we do want, like back to heartbreak and healing. When you're heartbroken, of course, you aren't broken. And like Daniela said earlier, that hurt isn't you, and there's healing to do. But I think the heartbreak also gives us access to what we care about and what we want instead. And there's information there that if you're just in it versus with it, curious about what information is here. What do I wish was happening differently? What do I want? What is the ideal outcome here? When we're just in it, all of that information is hidden in plain sight, and we're not able to grab onto it. But I think this is another way to dive deep into what is important to me. What do I care about? What do I really want? And it isn't just, I want to get into divine guidance next, right? It isn't just you having to figure it out. There's also divine guidance and spiritual guidance to tap into. So let's talk about that, because this is something you're really passionate about, as am I, right? That getting to the place of connecting to divine guidance to help your vision come to life, to help that creativity come to life, and to help your life come to life the way you want it to.
Yeah, man, this is such a beautiful subject. And I feel everything sort of leads, heartbreak can be a really good reset point for us. And one of the things that I've learned in energy healing is that the reasons that we as human beings sort of decide to go into human bodies where we can feel pain and where we can feel pain of loss, and where we can experience these really excruciating emotions in the heart, is because we're here to tap into the heart. And sometimes the heart only opens when it breaks open, right? So grieving and loss needs to be felt. You need to go through it. You can't, like, you need to feel the grief. It needs to do what it needs to do, because the feelings need to be felt. But what I've seen in many of clients that come in with grief, with loss, having lost a partner, having lost, a child, having lost somebody that they really loved in death, or a more normal outcome, which is just heartbreak, getting out of a divorce, losing a relationship, having your boyfriend break up with you, whatever it is. These are moments where life is sort of making, what I've seen in it is, once you're past the grief, once you're able to clear the grief from your body, and energy healing tools really help here, your heart expands. Because whenever your heart feels very deeply, like a muscle, it will become bigger. And when your heart becomes bigger, you can act with more courage. And you can also act with more connection to yourself. And with more connection to, this is hurting. This is, when you're feeling so much pain and after so you've gone through it, you start questioning what's really important in your life, right? Grief is a great moment when you're grieving something. It's a great moment to be like, okay, wait 1 second. Where I am right now, what I just went through, what I just lost, where I am right now, is it where I want to be? What is it, the type of things that I want to manifest into my life? What is it important to me? So grief is, and heartbreak is a way to, is the human soul's way of expanding your heart, of making you live more in your heart and making you reflect on what is important to your heart so that you can start making decisions that are more aligned.
Yeah. And we evolve, right? And what was important maybe just isn't anymore. And that in and of itself could be what you're grieving, right? This paradigm I was living in that I thought was the be all end all no longer is feeling aligned. That's great information. And what you're saying about heartbreak and grief is a reset. I think it's genius and I think it's beautiful. And I think the pandemic and the wars going on around the world are also opportunities for a reset. And we get to look at who we are now, who do we want to become, and what really is important now. And it's okay if it's different than what you thought was important or what was important. And I think that's really important to just say out loud. We get to evolve, we get to change our mind, we get to decide what's important now, even if it feels completely outside of the box of what we've known or what we thought.
Yeah, 100%. And anytime that anything breaks in our life, meaning anytime a project that we're going to do just doesn't work out, or a relationship breaks off, or we lose our jobs, or whatever it is where something comes to an end, it's a great moment to stop. It's a great moment to reflect. It's a great moment to say, okay, what were the things that I did like about this? What were the things that I didn't? In my next chapter, because clearly this chapter is ending, when things break, it's because that chapter in your life has come to an end. And it's really hard to trust, but it's all in divine guidance. And that's the hardest thing to trust, because when you're going through grief, it's like, how can this be in divine guidance?
Let's talk about divine guidance, Daniela.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this real quick. I don't actually see, I do think our hearts break, but I don't think life breaks us or relationships break. Like, things come to an end.
Yeah.
And when we force it, or resist it, it's like, when you're in the ocean and a wave, the wave either kicks your ass or you ride it home, right?
Yeah.
And those are the options, right? You're going to fight it and get beat up, or you're going to ride it and trust and surrender. And that's the divine guidance piece that I want to talk about next. And those options always exist. So keep going with the divine guidance, because I think it's really important to.
And you know what has been in my energy healing work and also in my personal life, I've sort of changed my perception around emotional pain and pain in general. And I feel, for example, in the health and fitness industry, they have a good approach to it. When you want to build muscle, when you want to grow your muscles, and when you want to get fitter, you will do exercises that naturally will extend your muscles in a way that it hurts. It hurts to get fit, right? It hurts to get in shape, because you are literally breaking the structure of your muscles so they can grow. And so this is what it feels like to evolve. It's literally, things have to break in order for them to expand. And so grief is like that. Our heart is like that. When we're feeling pain, sometimes pain is an indicator that it's something that we should move away from. But sometimes pain is an indicator, especially emotional pain, is an indicator that we are in the process of letting something go so that something new can come in and we can continue to expand.
100%. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
what do you do to connect to get divine guidance, and what guidance can you give our audience around how to connect to their divine guidance? Because I know you work in tandem with divine guidance all the
Yeah.
time in your work, as do I. So let's speak to this.
Okay. Ooh, there's many ways to start connecting to divine guidance, but let's start with the easy stuff. So one of we let's start with the basics. We as human beings have such a beautiful physical technology, like the way that we're built, like our bodies are built and our intuition is everything is built. It's just so beautiful and miraculous, right? Like to be in a human body is a miraculous thing in itself. And we are naturally designed to hear the voice and the guidance of our soul. We're naturally designed. We are sort of like, our mind is sort of like a TV screen where we can opt in to the channel of our own soul. Everybody has this possibility. Nobody is born like, oh no, you don't have the option of your TV doesn't come with that preset. No, no, no. Everybody has the option.
We all have the channel.
Everybody has the TV that can channel in the guidance of their own soul.
Yeah.
Thing is, the guidance of your own soul comes through whispers. It whispers to you. It's not a loud voice. You've heard this too, because you are very also connected to your divine guidance.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we currently live, and I don't know if when you see yogic scriptures, they lived in a way that was much more connected to nature. There wasn't Instagram and we didn't live in cities. Like we didn't have that much, auditive and visual pollution in our lives to be connected. So people, I think, lived more connected. But today, one of the things that is really important, in order to heal the whispers of your own soul, you need to give it space so that you can hear it, which means you need to have a clearing practice where you remove noise that isn't that channel. And I think that's step number one, because it's not about, yes, you can, one part is learning how to connect to divine guidance. That's a really important part. But first thing is clearing out the noise so that you can actually hear yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, in my personal practice, and what I've seen in clients is that people who on the daily, because this is like taking a bath. Like if you don't take a bath after a couple of days, you're going to have BO big time, big time. Mentally, it happens the same thing. Like if we don't clear our mental space, that TV screen where we can channel in the voice of our own guidance on a daily basis, that voice is going to be muffled. And we're going to be tuning into voices from the outside world, voices from whoever is telling whatever feeler-based thing. We're going to be tuning into a lot of things. So for me, what's really helped is having practices that can help me clear my mind. And there's a couple of practices that are very, very powerful. The primary one is meditation. Mm-hmm. Meditation is something that when I've been doing it for 3 years, it's like a sacred practice. When I do it on the daily, and I've seen the difference when I do it on the daily, I hear myself more clearly. Because there's a moment where I just give space for my soul to speak to me. Right? And this is something that all of us can do.
Yeah.
We don't have to necessarily, like, my work revolves around being connected to divine guidance. Like I can't do energy healing if I'm not connected. So I take it as a marketing investment, right? To do meditation. And now I do like a 2-hour set. And that's why I'm like, I have such a powerful connection to divine guidance, but I didn't start out that way. I started out with 10 minutes, with 10 minutes where I just repeated a mantra, a phrase that helped me connect. So you can repeat a phrase like, I am grateful, I am gratitude, I am gratitude, I am gratitude, I am gratitude, or I am clarity, I am clarity, I am clarity. Just any emotion that you want to encode in yourself, repeat it for 5-10 minutes. And that helps you start connecting to channeling that voice. So this is the first part, clearing the noise. Making sure that you're tuning into yourself. And that only happens through self-reflective practices. For me, meditation really works. For other people, what really, really works is journaling. Like journaling works really well for other people. Meditation has been the way that I've just seen it. Much clearer mind when I meditate in the morning, much clearer mind. And it's a practice that you build up. And if you do it every day, it's sort of like brushing your teeth.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. And I just want to go back to what you said at the beginning of this episode, which is the hurt isn't you. So I want to just remind people when we're talking about connecting to and tuning into that highest version of you that has access to the divine, remember, like, that hurt isn't the you that we're talking about tuning into there. The hurt is separate from you. And I agree. We've got to find, what works for us. It isn't a cookie cutter, here's the roadmap. I think we have to design our own divine connection roadmap. And yes, for some people, it's maybe literally even just taking a bath and cleansing. Others, it's meditating. Others, it's journaling. Others, it's exercising.
What I want, that's self-reflective. Yeah,
totally. And what I want people to consider taking on, yes, the I am statement. Who are you becoming now? Or what part of you that's already alive and well that you just haven't been as focused on, are you ready to build that muscle of? I love the I am statements, but then also, will you please just let yourself feel? Like the emotions, the grief, the anger, the fear, the joy, the excitement. This morning, as I was, just getting ready, I had this moment of grief. Another project that I had been working on for 6 months is done, and you'll find out more about it soon. And I just let myself
grieve it because
it's done.
Finished. It's finished. And so you're allowed to grieve.
Oh my gosh. I was crying like a baby this morning. Not because anything bad was happening, not because anything was wrong. I just had these emotions that needed to be felt and released and honored. And that made room. And so don't think that that isn't important. The emotions are not because something even happened. They're here bubbling up because they're ready to be released, to make room for more information, more connection. And I just love the divine timing even of this conversation today with you, Daniela. It's so beautiful, but just know there isn't a right way. There isn't a wrong way. Just start playing with what you know works for you. And again, back to earlier in this episode, it can start with what doesn't work. Like there were years where meditation was just off the table for me. There was no way in how. And now I meditate all the time, but I wasn't there yet either. Right. And one of the best ways that worked for me to meditate was candle gazing. Like I couldn't be that still yet.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would just light a candle and just connect to the flame.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful way to meditate, by the way.
Oh, I still do it. I still do it. But, just again, find what works for you. And I love Daniela's coaching. This is all of our homework after today, to allow ourselves permission to clear the white noise, to get ourselves connected to our truth and to remove what's in the way of that. And at the very least, just know it's possible. And like you said, Daniela, it's not just some of us that are equipped to be able to, connect to our unique vision for our lives, connect to divine.
Everybody is equipped. If you're in a human body that has a nervous system, you're equipped to connect to
Yes. Amen. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So good. Final thoughts, Daniela. Anything else you want people to know about you, and just final thoughts for today. And then we will definitely be bringing Daniela back. I'm so excited to have her in my life and as support. Oh, before I get your final thoughts, I do just also want to touch on divine guidance can also help you access who the right support is and what the right support is for you in your unique vision. I mean, I feel like I called in Daniela as support to me. Just divine guidance wise, it was literally intuition to connect to her. It made no sense at the time, and it's making more and more sense why we're in each other's lives. The more we're in each other's lives. So I do want us, to also talk about, support and making sure we have support, but also making sure it's the right support.
Oh man, this is a really good question. Making sure that you have support and making sure that you have the right support. So I would just start by saying, why do we need support? Like, why reach out to somebody to help us in a specific modality, way, or any shape or form. Because I totally understand the mentality of like, no, I want to do this myself. Like, I'm DIY. I want to do this myself. I don't want any outside support. I don't, all of it me. And that's wonderful. Having DIY tools is just beautiful. Meditation is a DIY tool, by the way. Mm-hmm. But why is it sometimes important to search for outside support? Because we all operate under blind spots, right? We all have, when we're moving on in our journey, when we're sort of choosing the path for us, and when we're in a point of reflection, when we're thinking, all right, I want to, bring certain things into my life. I want to bring either a certain vision, or I really have the desire to have more of this type of life, or to feel this type of way. It is really, and I feel it's helped me, having somebody who has an outside perspective can give you clarity on what you're not seeing. Because sometimes we are in the midst of our life, right? We're nose in deep. We're seeing our lives from here. We're seeing our problems this close, like an inch close from our nose. So we don't sometimes have the perspective to see how we can rearrange things. It's sort of what they teach in art, that there's moments where if you're painting very closely, you need to move away so that you can see the picture clearly.
Or writing, you have to take a step back and come back.
You have to step back. Yeah. Sometimes it is really useful to have somebody else who's not, in the midst of it, who is not entangled in your problems. Just be like, okay, this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
This is what I'm seeing. And this is the root of the issue that you're telling me that it is. And here's how we can clear it, or here's how we can solve it. Here's how we can transform it. And for me personally, I am an energy healer, and I'm a very good energy healer. But at the same time, I reach out for help whenever I'm feeling stuck. Why? Because I want the learning curve, right? Like when I'm searching for clarity, when I'm stuck in a thing, when my heart hurts and I'm just like, I don't know how to clear this out, and I don't understand, I can't pinpoint the root of the problem, I go to somebody else who has a clearer perspective and say, hey, what's hurting you has to do with this. Let's clear it out. And we're all going to have blind spots at some moment. So it's really nice to have people in your life who can see the blind spots that we're naturally not going to see, so that we can, just clear them out and continue on our journey with much more clarity, because we have somebody who's sort of helping us see what we can't. Right.
Yeah. No, and the connection alone is also healing. That's so good. This is a whole other episode. But I love what you're saying, right? Because we really can't see our way out of when we feel stuck, right?
Yeah, when we feel stuck, we are
right.
Our nose is stuck in the problem. Sometimes we do not have the perspective.
Right.
So sometimes it just really helps having somebody else being like, yo, I'm seeing it from here. I'm not entangled in it like you are, so I can see it more clearly. Yeah.
Or they've maybe been through it before. I think for me, one of the big differentiators around like what the right support for me is or not is I want support that helps me access more of my own divine guidance versus like telling me a way. What's something you look for?
So you know what I look for when I'm looking for support? Well, of course, I'm an energy healer, so it's about the vibration. I'm at a point where I look at somebody and I understand what they're about. Like, oh, this is the vibration that they're about. But one of the things that I really look for when I'm searching for guidance is about embodiment. So I want to reach out to somebody that can help me if they have healed the specific part of themselves that I'm looking to do as well, right? Because the real, guidance and the real work comes from somebody having lived through a specific experience, coming out the other end and telling you, hey, this is what I went through. This is how I healed it. This is how I approached it. And this is how it might be able to help you.
Yeah.
So I look for embodiment when I'm searching. Like if I'm at the point where I'm just like, I want to bring a really beautiful, loving, romantic relationship into my life, I would look for a coach who has a beautiful, lovely, romantic relationship in their life, right? Because they actually embody that energy.
Yeah.
And so it's easier for them to, transmit whatever they need to transmit to me because they're living proof.
Totally.
So I like to look for living proof when I'm looking
so
for guidance. So I think it's for anything, right? For any type of coach or healer, you want living proof. You want either the testimonials, or you want their story of saying, hey, I went through this, I healed this, I did this, and now I was here, and now I'm here. And you're probably where I started out. And so I can sort of tell you where the roadblocks are and what worked for me, so that you're learning from my learning curve.
So good. All right. Final thoughts, and how do they get in touch with you?
So right now we're a group of 3 healers. We all do amazing, fantastic work. And there's a link that Rebecca's going to share with you guys to set up a session with myself or with any of the healers on my team to just get clarity on any aspect of your life, but specifically things that have to do with heartbreak. If you're feeling like your heart is heavy and you're carrying around the weight of a relationship that you're just like, I don't want to carry around this with me anymore, and I definitely don't want to bring this weight into a future relationship, this is the work that we do really helps clear that stuff from your heart so you can move into a lighter space into the future. And also, if you're looking for clarity in terms of seeing more clearly where you want to go in your career, in your business, and in your work life, that's also something that we thoroughly enjoy doing, we embody, and we can definitely help you move in that direction. So those 2 things with the link at the bottom.
Okay. Daniela, thank you so much. This was a lovely conversation. Thank you for all of the work that you do and all that you give to the world. I got clarity on food intolerances with Daniela that I didn't even know were an issue. And we did miraculous work, and it's healed. Wild and magic. And I love it. And I adore you. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching. The Healing is Possible experience is here for you. Healing is possible for me, for you, and for all of us. And I just love you so much. And I'll see you all very, very soon. And thanks again, Daniela,
for having me. Thank you. I'm so grateful.